Today we'll be talking about how to analyze book-to-film adaptations. Just because you've seen a film adaptation of a story doesn't mean that you know the whole story, so it's important to read the book and watch the film adaptation to make sense of the whole story. The first thing you want to do is read the text. Then you can watch the film adaptation. As you watch, you'll want to take notes on the similarities and differences that you notice between the story version that you read and the story version that you're watching on the screen. Afterward, you'll want to compare and contrast how each version of the story treats the story. And finally, you'll want to evaluate how the similarities and differences in each version contribute to the story as a whole. Let's take a look at a sample text. The first thing we want to do, of course, is to read. Here we have an excerpt from Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Take a moment now to pause this video and read this passage for yourself. Now that we've read this passage, we can watch the excerpt. Here we have an excerpt from Alice in Wonderland, which was adapted from Lewis Carroll's book. This production was made in the year 1915. Let's take a moment now to watch this film clip. Remember, as you watch, take notes on any similarities or differences that you notice. Now that we've watched the film version and taken notes, we can compare and contrast the qualities of the novel version and the film version. Here's when our trusty Venn diagram will come in handy. We'll note the attributes that are unique to the novel on the left and the unique characteristics of the film on the right. In the novel, the story opens with Alice and her sister in a field. We also know that Alice is bored with her sister's book, and that she's drowsy from the summer heat. Finally, we know from the book version that when a white rabbit mysteriously appears, she follows him. In the film version, the story opens with the mother baking in the kitchen. Alice and her sister go outside to play, and on the way, Alice sees a rabbit and a cat. Finally, we see that Alice falls asleep and dreams. We know that both the novel and the film version share the same general idea, which is that Alice is in a field with her sister on a hot summer day. Now that we've compared and contrasted the film version and the novel version, our next step is to evaluate. That is, we're trying to figure out what the effect is of these similarities and differences. We might come up with a statement like this. In the film version, Alice clearly is in a dreamlike state, which explains the fantastical plot. The beginning of the novel, however, does not give the reader a definitive explanation for Alice's unusual experiences. While the film interpretation may make the plot more believable, it also takes away some of the mystery and magic of the original story. Having watched the film adaptation and read an excerpt of the novel, we can begin to make sense of the similarities and differences between them. Now we know that the next time we're in line at the movies to see that latest film adaptation of a book that everybody has read except us, we'll want to go back and read the book. Then we can watch the film adaptation. And as always, we want to take notes so that we can compare and contrast the similarities and differences, so that at the end, we can evaluate our reading experiences in a meaningful way.